In this one, I want to have a look at some common ETFs, very popular ETFs that people may trade, that you might be looking at trading. Most of these are listed in the States. What ETFs are, some of the different types of ETFs, go all through them, and really some of the makeup of those ETFs. So exchange traded funds, benefits, cons, everything like that. So we'll get started, but before that, if you can, just a thumbs up on the video, subscribe for more like this, and let's go. Now there are a few big ETF providers out there, especially in the States. You've got Vanguard, you have iShares, which is managed by BlackRock, you have Invesco. There are a couple of others. Definitely Vanguard, iShares, definitely the biggest and the most ETFs, but there are some companies out there and they will do the same thing, which is provide these passive ETF funds. So for example, with iShares, and I'm just looking at the S&P 500 ETF, which is, I guess, one of the most popular, if not the most popular ETFs to invest in. Why? Because it's the S&P 500, which is really a broad indicator of the economy overall. So when you invest in this ETF, so as you can see, the current price of the ETF is $322. So for $320, you can invest in 500 shares. So you get immense diversification from one investment. And as we know, I mean, Apple stock is trading around about $950 something at the moment. So for less than the price of one Apple share, you gain diversification, which is incredibly important when you're investing with smaller amounts. And you can see the expense ratio, 0.03%. So, you know, it's almost cost-free to do this investment. And that is really the benefit of ETFs overall. So with the S&P 500 ETF, it's quite easily explained, just the 500 leading shares. And as you can see the key facts. So the returns that you got over 10 years, and also the makeup. So you can see exactly what stocks are in here. Unsurprisingly, it's the S&P 500 indices that are in here, but look, you get exposure to Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, you know, the FANGs, Johnson & Johnson. So rather than having to go out and buy all of those shares, you just have this S&P 500 ETF. And for a lot of investors who are starting out, just looking to build the base of their portfolio, something like an S&P 500 ETF is just a gimme. It's just one of those things that you build as a base, and maybe you do other investments over that. As I said, this is not financial advice, but for a lot of investors, they will choose just this as a base, because this is essentially just investing in the stock market, investing in the economy, the 500 leading shares. Now, as we move over to something slightly different, which is again from iShares, which is an S&P 500 growth ETF. So this ETF essentially will focus on the growth stocks within the S&P 500. And depending on what type of investor that you are, certainly if you're a younger investor or you're a growth investor and you want to actually really narrow down the type of investment that you're making. So growth ETFs will be tech stocks, biotech stocks, things like that. So less of the commodity stocks than those value plays, the dividend stocks. And as you can see here, this is just iShares as an example, but certainly information technology, so tech and consumer discretionary communication stocks, you know, very large amount of the fund. And then as we go down to energy and utilities, a tiny amount. So it really is just a way that you say, okay, I want to invest in growth stocks. This is the ETF for you. What's great about this is that you know that you have very high quality stocks in here. They're S&P 500 stocks. It is towards growth, but again, passively managed. So you're not paying a fund manager to go out and find growth stocks. It really is a passive way of just really narrowing down the type of investments that you want to make. As we move over to Vanguard, and Vanguard really are the same, and they offer so many different types of ETFs. So if we just have a look at some US bond ETFs, and if you want to go for some bonds are lower risk than equities, usually fixed income investments. So you know exactly what you should be getting in returns from the bond ETF. But of course, trying to choose between lots of different bonds is quite difficult. Maybe buying a bond ETF is for you. Now with bonds, maybe if we can have a look at this one from Vanguard. Vanguard rate their ETFs with different risks. And with a bond ETF, if they're very high quality bonds, they're probably going to be around about 2. And you can see this one is about 3. And 3 isn't actually that low risk for a bond account. Bonds, so if you're investing in treasuries in the States, you may be down at a 1 because they're very low risk. America, one of the strongest economies in the world, very small default risk. Why is this one so high? Why is the risk so high in this particular bond portfolio? As you can see, they have a very high level of basically junk bonds. BA isn't very good either. So they have a much higher degree of risk. They have default risk, but you can see actually the return of the fund overall is fairly high for a bond fund. So the risk increases, the potential returns that you need also increase. But if you're going out and buying some junk bonds, very risky, but Vanguard can put them together for you, make them slightly less risky by having an ETF of many different bonds. Then we move down to the US stock ETFs, and as you can see, Vanguard will offer the same, and the ticker on this is VOO. So if you go to the stock market, if you have a trading app, type in VOO, you can go and buy this S&P 500 ETF. Unsurprisingly, this ETF absolutely tracks the price movement of the S&P 500 because it is an index tracker ETF. And as you can see with equities, even though you're very diversified, you've still got a risk of 4 out of 5 here. Equities are known as higher risk because the prices can fluctuate, whereas bonds have a fixed income, so you know exactly what the income you should receive from your investment is, and your risk is really with the bondholder defaulting. With equities, things are much more risky. Prices will move every single day, and market fluctuations will move those prices, so the risk is higher. As you can see with the portfolio composition, it is not like the same as the iShares growth ETF that we looked at, which was S&P 500 stocks, but growth stocks. And so the amount or the percentage of tech and health stocks were a lot higher because they are growth stocks, whereas the portfolio composition of an S&P 500 tracker will just have it exactly as the S&P 500 is. So you can essentially just trade a S&P 500 ETF just like a stock, and you get great diversification. As we move on to iShares emerging markets ETF, so if you want to take a lot more risk and you want to maybe have some exposure to emerging markets, but you know, this is difficult. How are you going to trade in those currencies if they're listed in Hong Kong or anywhere else, even if they're listed in Shanghai? How are you actually going to gain exposure to them? How are you going to trade in those currencies? Well, something like an emerging markets ETF is a way to do that. Now, emerging markets, way more risky than US equities. For obvious reasons, they are in growth markets, emerging markets. There are also currency risks and a lot of other risks involved, specific business risks, political risks. So as we can see, this emerging markets ETF actually gives you some exposure to some, I guess what you could say as, you know, you maybe want to pad out your portfolio like this. So you have Alibaba and Tencent. So these are Chinese companies. Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC, who make chips for Apple, who have done very well recently because Intel's business is struggling with their chips. So if you do want to gain some exposure to these companies in emerging markets like Meituan, so a lot of these in China Construction Bank, a lot of these Ping An as well, which is in Shenzhen, a lot of those companies are Chinese companies. They're going to be more risky than S&P 500 stocks for sure in terms of the risk portfolio, but it really offers you a way to actually diversify a little bit, gain some exposure to those if you wanted it. And again, an ETF makes it very simple to do that. These companies make it super easy to find any ETF that you want. As you can see, I'm just looking at equity ETFs, but there are fixed income ETFs, multi-asset ETFs, real estate ETFs, which will be REITs, real estate investment trusts, so you can gain exposure to real estate. If I click off equity, go to commodities, you can see really there's a gold trust, so you can actually invest in gold through an ETF. You don't have to buy the gold itself. So really the big major types of investment, whether you want to invest in bonds or equities, income or growth, which one is right for you? Obviously that's going to depend on your time scale, your investment goals. Hopefully that was helpful to explain some of the differences in ETFs, how to choose them. which is going to come eventually down to your investment goals. But if it was useful, then please a thumbs up and a subscribe if you want to see more like this. But I'll see you in the next one.